G'day guys, MFWest here, and today we have a Necrotic Wake plus 11 for you guys. Now, this is the first Mythic Plus video of the expansion. So I did plenty of these in BFA. A lot of you enjoyed it and really liked that kind of content. So gonna keep doing it, guys. Obviously, first week of Mythic Plus, so a lot of people will be doing a lot of Mythic Plus. So I thought it'd be pretty useful for you guys to get my insight on how Unholy is doing in keys. Based on the major consensus, Unholy is doing really well in keys. If not, it's one of the best melees up there with Outlaw and Sub. Most definitely, it's up there in terms of that. I would probably put it as I put Rogues as tier S. I put Unholy as like tier A, which is really good. In terms of, I'm not going to give you guys a full Mythic Plus guide because I'm still waiting to get the Frenzied Monstrosity Legendary, and I want to compile more footage for you for the ultimate Mythic Plus guide, right? So that is still like 2 to 3 weeks away. I don't know how long it will take for me to get the Frenzied Monstrosity Legendary because it is tied to a bloody world boss. That's quite rather unfortunate, but I will still be able to give you guys the basics like my conduits, talents, my gear that I've got, and pretty much everything. So let's get straight into that then, shall we? So first things first, let's have a look at my talents. So not too much has changed, okay? Infected Claws, I do like to take Infected Claws because it just gives me like a higher chance to get a lot more wounds on targets in dungeons, especially where there's a lot more mobs, and especially on Fortified. Now, this row is quite controversial. I do like taking Unholy Blight personally, but I think Bursting Swords has a place in higher level keys. So at the moment, above like a 12, I think Bursting Swords would be very beneficial and would see great value because the mob's health is a lot higher, so you get more use out of them staying longer in D&D and not dying instantly. So low keys, I don't think it's the play. Shit dies too quick. Unholy Blight's probably better in that aspect, but depending on what you do, and if it's Fortified week, I'd highly recommend taking Infected Claws, Bursting Swords. You can opt for taking Clawing Shadows as well. I think this will be very strong later on, but I just prefer Infected Claws at the moment. No changes with Asphyxiate. Pestilent Pustules is really good at the moment, guys. So I would not take Soul Reaper on anything but a Tyrannical week, where bosses 8 will be very important. You get a lot of more value out of Soul Reaper. Pestilent Pustules is just superior in that aspect, and giving yourself Runic Corruption just helps you pop more wounds, so more damage. Death Pact, I think, is very strong unless you're in a very heavy AP magic damage. Spell Eater might be more helpful on higher level keys to not get one-shot by mechanics. Unholy Pact is insanely strong. These two are in no competition to this talent at all. No questions there. Unholy Assault, very, very strong. I think it's a definitely your first option on Fortified weeks, or a heavy like mob-centric dungeon. Army of the Damned, I would probably take on Tyrannical weeks, where you can probably sneak in an Army of the Dead on every boss. Very, very strong Army of the Damned on Tyrannical weeks, because having Army on a boss is great. It's like 100k damage that your group can use, so really, really good. And yeah, that's pretty much my overview for the talents. In terms of my gear, I was around 192, 193 when I did this video, so I haven't been that lucky. Currently using the Dark Moon, Ferocity, and Anima Field Emitter. I still want to test all the trinkets out in Mythic Plus, so can't comment too much on that. And I don't have many options in terms of trinkets. Really hard to get your hands on trinkets in Shadowlands. I am using the Denathrius Death Coil Legendary that you get from killing Denathrius, and really strong Legendary for single target. In Raid, our best in slot, to be honest. Not very strong in Mythic Plus, guys. So the only good thing is that whenever you Death Coil, it increases the duration of Dark Transformation by 1 second. With Lust, you can greatly increase the duration of Dark Transformation, but we want to be using Epidemic on multiple targets, right? So it doesn't really promote the best amount of gameplay for Unholy. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it for Mythic Plus. Frenzy Monstrosity is by far the best legendary for Mythic Plus at the moment for Unholy DK. Get your hands on that whenever you can, as soon as possible. Otherwise, sitting at 51% Mastery, 20% Haste, 8% Verse, 7% Crit, I would be trying to prioritize Haste Mastery gear for Mythic Plus. It's just too strong. Mastery is by far our best in slot stat. So, yeah. Last but not least would be my Soulbind and Conduit. I'm currently playing with Ameni for the amazing strength bonus that I get when I use Abomination Limb for the party, and for myself, I'm using Eternal Hunger, so increases Jar Transformation by 3 seconds, and minion damage is increased by 4.2%. An amazing conduit that is best in slot for, honestly, Raid and Mythic Plus. Jar Transformation is a high amount of your damage in Mythic Plus, so increasing its damage and duration is just amazing. And then you're forced to go down here, and I recommend picking up the Soul Drain Conduit for your Finesse slot. Kicking something gives you 15 runic power, so that's amazing. And there you have it, guys. Honestly, let's get straight into the video. Let's go. Alrighty, so here we go, guys. Let's get started. So we've got a bunch of these patchwork soldiers on the first pack. I pretty much dedicate Unholy Blind Dark Transformation here with D&D. As you can see, though, Marksmanship Hunters pump on AoE, especially with the Knife ability. Does a lot of damage, so I'm saving my Abomination's Limb for the next pack, which generally is a little bit more difficult and a lot more of the actual mobs in there as well. So yeah, just a preliminary pull. I think we're still working out the kinks and like how to pull this area, like this first section. Obviously you want to go down the right, so pretty big pull here with the bean bags. What are they called? Blight bags. Abomination Limb goes down. Popping Frenzy here as well, I believe, to get wounds, or I'm saving it. Frenzy is really nice to just get on a target and then just get your wounds on a target and then start bursting, but obviously really complements the bursting source talent. And on large AoE pools, Abomination's Limb is just it's a massive cooldown, right? It does a lot of damage. It will probably top your damage for the pack. Really, really strong. So these Corpse Harvesters, you want to be kicking the Drain Fluids. Now I kick that with my Mind Freeze here. You can kick with your Pet Kick, but basically you want to be stunning, pet stunning as much as you can, and is stopping those drain fluids from going off, because that is what is going to chunk your group, especially on fortified week. So as you can see, it's kiting them here to kite the damage and the drain fluids. So we push back a little bit here, and as we get more gear, I think it'll be a lot easier to take care of these mobs. But yeah, these corpse guys are very, very irritating here, so we're just going to finish them off. Pretty rough pack. I have to dedicate quite a few cooldowns here, but we're getting there. And one thing to mention, I think, guys, is that Kyrian is a must on this dungeon. I think not having a Kyrian would probably, you'd lose something like a large amount of time. So we hit 20%, which spawns the Manifestation of Pride, and with these guys, I really think there's a lot of min-maxing as to where you actually kite him into the next pack, so you have more uptime on the damage buff. We're killing this guy at the very start of the dungeon, so we're losing about 15 seconds, and I actually die there. We're losing about 15 seconds. That was just pulsing damage. I could have done quite a few things, could have death pack. I just didn't expect to die, so that is completely my bad there. So we're going to activate the Goliath, and we're going to do the boss with the damage buff and the Goliath buff and the Pride buff. This is disgusting. This whole setup, guys, the Prideful buff, the Kyrian buff, is made for Army of the Dead. So watch how much damage I do here. This is just insane. This boss literally just melts in a minute. It's incredible. Definitely going to be a lot of plays around getting Unholies in with Prideful. You obviously want to tee up Prideful onto every boss where Army is doable. And on Tyrannical, I think Army of the Damned will be a big bonus. Look at that damage, guys. It's huge. So down goes the boss here pretty much. Really easy. I'm just focusing the boss now because the boss dies. These ads will, some of the ads will despawn. A lot of these ads are actually a pat that is nearby. So we're going to have to kill these guys before the tank dies. Tank actually falls there, unfortunately, and yeah, we're just trying to survive here, but he can get back here pretty quickly, so it's not too bad. But yeah, that boss is a meme with Kyrian because the way that Goliath is just sitting there, right there to give you the damage buff, it's perfect. So yeah, really nice. Now we're going to move on to another pack of these patchwork soldiers. There are some harvesters in there as well, so you have to look for those kicks. I would even so much as ask your healer or tank if they need AMZ, but I recommend holding it here because the next section of this dungeon is very AMZ's pretty fat, so yeah, we're just getting many kicks. Even the healers helping out with wind shears and whatnot, so really helpful. I'm holding Abomination's Limb here, guys, because the next section is pretty juicy. By all means, I probably could have used it here because these mobs are just annoying, and damage is always great. But yeah, pretty annoying part here. Yeah, and this is the last we'll see of the harvesters and the what are these little things called? Yeah, they're just annoying. So now we're on to, I think, would be arguably one of the hardest sections of the dungeon for Fortified, I think. We're going to kill the Gatekeeper with a count, and I believe we're going to kill these other Blightbags pack. I think we're trying to proc Prideful to go into that pack upstairs. I'm trying to remember, but we're not going to get it, unfortunately. So the Gatekeeper's a mob you don't really want to be pulling. He's disgusting. He does this like, yeah, massive AoE, and he constantly spawns units through the portal. And yeah, he's just a horrible mob on Fortified, but I believe he gives some decent count. Let's see how much he gives. Yeah, we're just trying to keep to a specific count, so we're almost 40%. So Prideful's going to pop here when we kill these Patchwork Soldiers, so I believe that's what we're doing here. So just one more pack of Patchwork Soldiers. And we'll be on to the next section, which is gross. Okay, these don't even give count, so there you go. We're missing count a little bit. And remember, there are these spears and different weapons, like Kyrian weapons, that you can pick up around the dungeon. I believe spears and shields. I've actually never used a shield myself, but there is a spear, in fact. We got a Goliath here, and we're going to pull into this pack, into this middle pack here. This is what I was saving Abomination's Limb for. With the Goliath buff, it's actually really handy that we can do damage here, so I think it's a really good use here because this pack is pretty disgusting. And yeah, we're just focusing down the priority target and Prideful spawns here, so this is a pretty juicy section here. Remember, you can always dedicate AMZ to help the healer out in the Prideful, and you always want to be as well using Lichborn for Leech. I just cocked my hunter there, that's really funny. But yeah, Lichborn is really strong as well, boys. If you want to just get some leech, that will help your healer. Remember, after 2 ticks of the Manifestation Pride AoE pulse, press Death Strike, you will get like 35% of your HP back. Remember, Death Strike is a very strong ability for consistent damage on DK. So that's really good. So we got Prideful buff, and now we're going to go into a very disgusting pack here, which is why Prideful is really awesome to have here. And it just gets completely annihilated. I think the Avengers Demon Hunter's doing 40k DPS. Okay, he got the discharge animal. I was about to say, like, what the heck? I believe I got smashed by a frontal. The rogues cheat death proc as well, so both of us got smashed by that. But yeah, I think it was a frontal, and I just need to monitor the tank's positioning a little bit better, to be honest, boys. Alrighty, so moving through here, we're on to the 2 skeletal marauders. Now, these 2 require kicks, otherwise you'll be feared. I mean, that's no problem for DK because we've got Lichborn, but you don't want to be getting feared into packs, right? No, it's a big no-no. Here it is. I believe you can get the next kick on each of these mobs as well, so pretty easy. And they're going to get popped here, so really straightforward mobs. They just do massive damage onto the tank. Massive melee damage. Now this whole section here is a bit tricky to pull, but with a rogue, with the distracts, to stop the pats, it's actually very nice. So we sneak around the side here. There is a shield here, and there's multiple spears along the walls. I do not know what the Kyrian shield does, guys. Please pop it down below in the comments if you do know. But yeah, unsure of what the shield does, but obviously the spears are pretty straightforward what they do. So we're going to take these 2 packs here, and we're getting pretty close to the next Prideful, but obviously we want to use the Prideful in a good spot. I believe the next mob set will probably give us Prideful this pack here, so a shit ton of these shuffling corpses. So Abomination's Limb this pack because I want to have Abomination's Limb for either the second pack coming or the boss, to be honest. So that procs Pride, which is fine. We're going to kill Pride, and then we're going to go into the pack up there. Now, I used Apocalypse there because I know that I will have Apocalypse back before the boss, which is fine. I've got to be very careful of this pack here coming. A lot of sneaky little mobs here that you got to watch out for. And as you can see, pretty insane healing required for these Prides. Rest of the Shaman's really good at it, so I'm Death Striking there. we've got the buff, we've got a massive damage buff. We're going to pull this mob pack here, and we're just trying to get a bit of count here before we have to go up to the boss room. So this mob here, obviously you want to prioritize kicking the Necrotic Bolts and the Fear, but pretty straightforward pack, especially with Prideful, and the Shadow Mend ability from the, I believe the Necrotic Menders, I believe you're going to be kicking that as well, so, yep. Okay, we only got 14 seconds left of the Prideful buff. We're going to kill these two, and I'm going to grab the Spear, and we're going to go into this next pack. And now the pack after this is just before the boss. It's like I believe it's a mage or necro sorcerer or whatnot. All you have to do is focus him down, and that will despawn all his skeletons around him. So that's the goal there. So we're just going to nuke the necromancer with the spear. As you can see though, when I first start casting it, something goes on the ground and I have to move. It's a volcanic, and you don't want to be getting hit by volcanic. So there goes the spear, drops down to 20% HP, and we're gonna nuke the shit out of him, and that literally just completes the pack, dude. That's easy. So spears are very, very strong. You don't need to be Hurian to access the spears, but the discharge anima debuff is very important. That drops from multiple things. So, all right, on to the boss. Pretty straightforward boss, guys. We lost this because we know we might have it before the last boss. I don't think we even do. But I'm going to army here and save. I actually could be saving my Abomination's Limb for when he spawns adds. I think that actually is the play, because it will grip them all together onto the boss. So misplay by me. Save Abomination's Limb for the first set of adds, because it's very important that you keep ad management on this fight, because he does this ability in a couple of seconds called, he's doing it right now, Final Harvest. If any adds are actually alive, you pretty much wipe. Maybe not on a fortified, but it's almost a one shot. It's a lot of damage, so prioritize adds and make sure they die. Grip in whatever you can, as you can see there. Kick whatever ones on the outside of the boss room you can, so they come into the middle, and just nuke them down before Final Harvest. So 3 seconds, and we're just finishing off the remaining sets of adds there, and there it goes. I believe it will be quite an interesting fight on Tyrannical. I think Fire Mages and Unholy DKs of the Mask Grip will be crucial to that. So yeah, very interesting fight, pretty straightforward on Fortified, guys. So now we're going to go up into the hardest, most difficult section of the dungeon, to be honest, guys. And the reason being is because these mobs hit fucking hard, eh? Like, the tenderized mechanic on these, what are they called? Stitchworks is not something to be trifled with. Really destroys tanks, and they want to be kiting around the room and making room for kiting as much as possible. So we're going to pull a little bit careful here. Remember, we have Prideful in 80%. We accidentally pull the parts. They die very quickly though, so it's no problem. And a lot of people like saving discharged anima for this section, because you can do like a double pull and then nuke them with discharged anima. But on Fortified, it doesn't exactly nuke them, but very helpful though. The throw cleavers, obviously you want to be running behind different mobs, but there's no mobs like actually alive right now. So, and remember, always trying to weave in your Fleshcraft, guys. I think Fleshcraft's an underrated ability. Whenever you can between packs, make sure that you're getting that off on CD to help out your healer, and just going into a pack with a shield, like an AK 12k shield, is massive. So our sub-rogue is going shaping and stunning everything, kicking everything, making sure that we can just survive this. So let's see how close we are to Prideful after killing these two things. Pretty damn close. The next pack will give us Prideful, and I believe he's going to distract that pack, but we might be going for something else. Yeah, I think we're going to go. So these three mobs here are huge. Like these packs require heavy cooldowns, guys. As you can see, we're going to kill this and get Prideful, and then use that to go into a larger pack here. So I'm dedicating Abomination's Limb on this pack because it's just really, really crucial. And by the time the Prideful's done, I mean, there'll be a minute left on Abomination's Limb. Whenever you can use Abomination's Limb on multiple AoE packs, I recommend, because it just obviously isn't as useful on single target. It's great, the 8% strength from a many, but on AoE is probably preferred. So we got to focus the Stitchwork here, because he's doing a 4-stack Tenderize on the tank. He goes down, and now we can focus on the Manifestation of Pride. And remember, like I said, weave in Death Strikes wherever you can to help your healer, and just watch where you're placing this debuff that I just have here. We get really low there, massive ascendance there. he's just doing a shit ton of damage, and it's just very enjoyable. The healing required on Pride is quite fun. I think it's quite fun for the healers as well. So we're going to use the Pride buff into this pack here, and we're going to absolutely annihilate it. There's no stitch work, but there is a loyal creation, so there's a cleaver mechanic, and we're just going to absolutely nuke it. The prideful buff literally sorts out these packs instantly. Like, look how much damage this is, guys. It's insane. This pack just got nuked, absolutely nuked. So very handy. I actually love how prideful works. It makes you think about where to try and get your percentage and which packs you can use it on. So a lot of thoughtful, a lot of thought use for prideful. Big fan, big fan. So we have one more pack left, I think one or two, before we get into the boss, guys. I'm just gonna quick drink. Alright, Stitch works. Again, really priority. So as you can see here, let's give you guys a bit of insight into what I was doing. On 4 to 5 packs, I was actually, because I have the Denathrius legendary, the Death Coil legendary, right? I was actually weaving in Death Coils into my rotation to extend the duration of Dark Transformation. Because remember, every Death Coil extends its duration by 1 second. So spamming Death Coil will pretty much keep him at the same level of seconds left. And I do track how much time is left on my Dark Transformation, mostly for Pet Kick and Arena, but I do like to see how much time I have left on it. So yeah, that's probably why you see me using Death Coil on these 4 to 5 mob packs. And yeah, that's probably my reasoning for that. Okay, so this is like the mini gauntlet, I guess. And the good thing about this gauntlet is the healers can actually drink while they do this. As you can see there, the DPS did it perfectly. You want to stand behind the opposite assistant from which you're being targeted by, because that makes them throw a cleaver at each other. That's crucial here. Really, really important. So as you can see, he does it again. Really, really well played. And ideally, if they both target you, you can do what our rogue did there. He stood behind both, and the tank would stand in between them. So I get targeted here by the fixation ability, and he almost one-shots me. So as the wheelchair, you know, kind of be prepared for that mechanic as it comes up, because you may need to already start moving prior to the ability going off. It is a lot of freaking damn. And we haven't got much mobility, as you know. Good old wheelchairs. Again, another stitch work. You need to prioritize damage on it. Really important you do damage here, AMZ as well. Just yeah, kill him ASAP, because that tenderize stack mechanic, like watch that tank's HP. It's just insane. This mob is the most toxic thing in this dungeon, and yeah, look at it. It's incredible. A healer is spam healing him. But yeah, at least we have more room to kite now, and that frontal is disgusting. Yeah, a gross mob here. So no AMZ going into this prideful. I'm quite low. I really should have Lichborn there, to be honest, as I connect back with him here, but I don't. This is like the first dungeon I believe I did on prideful, I think. So I wasn't really well versed with using my defensive cooldowns on the prideful, so be very careful here. No one gets hit by that, fortunately. We're going to have to focus down. So the unfortunate thing about the gauntlet is, no matter what happens, whenever you kill one of the mobs, the next one is on a timer. So if you have a prideful in between, that's just, you're going to have to tank the prideful with the new pack. So our tank's just kiting everything here. We kill the prideful. I actually got the debuff, and we're going to have to kill this mob pack here as well. So yeah, a bit unfortunate timing for prideful, but you have to get it somewhere in between this gauntlet, and you're going to have to deal with it along with a stitch work. So definitely save cooldowns for whenever that happens. Now I believe this will be the boss. Yep, flesh crafting, here comes the boss. So really straightforward boss, guys. Okay, so Stitch Flesh Cannon creation is what you're going to use to grip down the boss. As you can see here, I get meat hooked. I move a little bit closer to the boss, so the meat hook goes all the way. He grips him down, we army, we lust, and we're going to one-phase him pretty easily here with army and lust. Ideally, you don't want to get 2 phases, guys, because yeah, it's shit. Now the cleavers, again, you want to do what exactly that I think the rogue or hunter just did there. You want to move behind the boss so that the cleaver goes into the boss, and yeah, we're just nuking the shit out of him. We actually don't one-phase him there, so there you have it. We didn't actually one-phase him, so now this is an awkward situation. You have to kill the Stitch Flesh creation as soon as possible, because 2 of them is just too much for the tank to actually deal with. So we grip him down, and then down he goes. We lose about 20 odd seconds there because we didn't nuke him in time, but as you can see, a lot of damage is required to one phase to one phase that shit. So move behind the tank there, and down he goes. Yeah, but on Tyrannical, I think it'll be very sketchy boss. You want to be getting as much uptime between the intervals as possible. Alright, last boss, 5 minutes 40 seconds left. 7 deaths, not too bad. Alright, this guy's pretty straightforward. I'm going to teach you guys something that I learned on the fly as I was doing this boss. So I was just like wondering. So I noticed here that he turns to people when he throws and binds them, okay? So I was like, okay, so what you can actually do as a Death Knight, which is amazing because it's just one mechanic you don't have to worry about, is as he turns to face you, you can AMS the Frozen Bind. So I didn't AMS that one because I was just testing the theory. I get dispelled, everyone runs out. Now next time he looks at me, I'm going to AMS before the Frozen Bind cast finishes, and it will not apply it. So there you go, there you have it. Make sure you guys are doing this as well, and remember he looks at you. So here he goes, he looks at me, I slow it down for you guys. I AMS and it doesn't go off. The healer doesn't have to dispel, the rogue doesn't have to jump out of melee, it's just more uptime. Now the rogue can do this as well. Yeah, it's just the small things, right, to get more uptime on the boss, especially as a Death Knight. So I'm going to be chosen to go down here, I'm quite sure. And yeah, all you got to do downstairs, I'll explain it to you when I get there. Really odd mechanic for this fight, guys. So you have to run to the very end, dodge the swirlies on the ground, you know, really roll those wheels as you go up this ramp. And when you get to this little mob over here, he has 26k HP. I do not recommend popping any cooldowns on this guy, save it for the boss. Just nuke him down with your general rotation, and you basically resurrect this lady and she takes you back to the fight. And if you're lucky, your group will almost have this finished. Now, I would communicate with your group as to when you can come back to the fight, because if you drop down in the middle of a Comet Storm or a Frozen Bind, as you can see there, by the way, these guys are trolling me when they did this, yeah, you just don't want that. So really important that you coordinate with your group when you're going to come back. So yeah, they were laughing when they did that, sons of bitches. Yeah, no loot unfortunately. Wasn't very lucky with loot that day. But there you have it, guys. That's going to be the full video for a Necrotic Wake plus 11. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Please post any questions you have down below in the comments. Follow me on social media at MFWest WoW on Facebook and Twitter. And I will be posting plenty more content for you guys. So I will talk to you guys later. Enjoy your day and stay unholy. Peace.